Hey kids, it's your good buddy Mark Miller here to take care of you for the next hour and a half or so. With me, I've got you're also your good friend Rory's here.
Hey everybody.
Rory's here to take care of you as well. We're going to write some code today. You know, as usual, doing the crazy stuff. I did not get much sleep again last night, so 3 nights in a row, Rory.
Oh man.
I don't know. It's not working. It's
It's not.
I don't know.
It's those vivid dreams of TaleSpire and all the cunning things you're going to be doing with it.
Yeah. Well, check out Fred. He's really low in this particular shot right here.
He's hiding.
Why is he so low? Let's bring him up there. Get up there, Fred. You good now, Fred? He's good. Cool. Let's show you where we left off yesterday.
Yeah.
All right. I got in another set of assets. So,
Okay.
but interesting. Why is that? There we go. Just needs a little adjustment there. Got another set of assets. I think we were trying to move something from point A to point B yesterday. That's what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay, so
We got a couple of flames up at Merkin and well, I forget the chap's name, but at 2 locations, and the plan was to then have that flame, or a flame, travel, I'm presuming, from one place to another. So you were building a traveler mono behavior, or translocator, perhaps, and the plan was to attach. Ooh, snazzy, just like that, I guess.
Yeah, just like that. There it is there. Okay, so that
So
is
success.
that
Yesterday had even more success. So the trick to this is don't let Mark sleep at any point, and the success will fly.
Yeah, it kind of seems that way. So we've got that. There is, it's got accelerate, it's got ease in or ease out, or both, ease in and out. I posted a screenshot. Let me open up Visual Studio. I haven't done that yet. Where did I put it? I think I put it in the realistic effects pack. Let's do this. Start up Unity as well. No, I put it in my core effects pack. That's where I put it.
Yes, because you're deliberately engineering several different effects packs so that you can work on one at a time as it becomes necessary,
Yeah.
and not have to rebuild everything.
Yes.
It's not every time.
Yeah. Hector's out there.
Hey, Hector.
Welcome. Welcome. I'm just starting up Unity here. It's doing this for me. I wish I could drag their splash screen so I could show you something pretty while this is starting up. It's starting up on another monitor. How's your day, Rory? Everything okay over there?
My day is great. It's worked. It's been going really well. Do you know what the biggest burden on me at the moment is? At the moment, the biggest pain in my life.
You don't have time to talk about me right now.
This will show you just how little is a problem, really. But
Okay.
do you know what's the worst thing about C++?
Yes,
Singular words.
like C++. The answer is itself.
Well, it's a challenge by itself. My sort of side project, like my fun project of an evening, is based in it at the moment. And C++ does not have tab to next reference, and it makes me so sad.
I know. I whenever I'm in VS Code, I'm like, when are we going to get this here? But we're working on other things in VS Code. We've got a really cool snippet engine coming out. It's going to kick some serious butt. I just wanted to show, whoops, look, tab to next reference isn't working here because CodeRush hasn't loaded yet because we've got this, cool tech that, doesn't interfere with load times of Visual Studio. So we do it afterwards, and so I'm just waiting for this to load up. But you know what? I can just click over here to get to it. I wanted to show you this. Oh yeah, CodeRush is just loaded. There you go. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
These
See,
are,
that's the perfect use for inline images.
yeah, it's kind of cool.
Who has the memory to just memorize all of those, right? That's not going to happen. That's a waste of memory.
Right. Also gives you a sense of kind of what's happening, the shape of the curves, and kind of how steep. In other words, how fast the acceleration is. So basically, I threw in some easing options. The other thing that I did, which is kind of cool, is I set up links for each one of these. So I can just click on this link here, and there's my ease in out court right there.
Oh, so nice.
And I can get a demo of it like here. here's what this function does versus linear, so you can kind of see it kind of work there.
That's really good.
Right? Linear
useful.
Not great at all. But that's kind of what ease out chord does. So that, yeah, it's cool. So I've got links for all of these. I've put all this up here, built this easing piece in here. And so what we're able to do over in our application that does the move is we set that up. I've also created this translator script here. The translator is done right here. And it's got some properties up here, these public properties we can set. So everything in here we can set. So easing is what we're setting. We can set that normally if I drag something on, you know, I tested it here in this world. It should work. I think we're easing. We have this, you can see it right here. We have these, I think we were working on these, laying these spheres out when you left. I think, Rory?
I don't think we quite got that far, actually.
Okay. So anyway, that's what you're watching. What you're watching is the ease as this moves up for whatever one we've selected for this cube right here. So if we select the cube, it's got the translator. It's using ease in quint right there. I can choose like ease in sign. It's a little smoother, I think. Take a look at that one. It's best if you compare them side by side, I suppose, but it's a little smoother. And then I think we've got linear as well. We can just do linear, and linear is like, you know, totally flat. Now there's a bit of a jump at the beginning, and I think that's because the time we start and the time it starts playing the game are two different things. So there's always a jump at the beginning. I don't have any kind of response to it.
Internals are moving, but the rendering isn't yet, and therefore it has to jump and catch up.
Yeah, so if this is a priority of really seeing this, which it really is not, I just wanted to get a sense for them before I, you know, moved over and used them in the other app. But if it was a priority, we would need to trigger this with a keystroke or something like that. Okay? All right.
Yep.
All right. Let's refresh our memory in terms of the spec, what we're going to do. I got a couple different spell effect types. One of the things that I've learned is that we're going to need to deal with spell, you know, effect properties. So one of the effect properties I think is going to be bind, you know, to floor. In other words, it needs to be triggered at the floor. Maybe triggered at floor level.
So this is as opposed to the fireball, which is sort of triggered or emanates at sort of hand level.
Yeah,
usually,
exactly.
Assume. But you might have a growth of some effect, like, I don't know, vines that spring out of the floor and head away from the character. So the start point has a sort of a height relative to the character casting.
Yeah, so I think we're going to need an enum here, actually. So we'll call it trigger point. And based on that, we're going to, and maybe this is going to be ceiling, I don't know. You know, it's above the heads of everybody. Should this be a number instead?
I'm trying to think of the variations at hand here. Certainly, sort of hand level will be the hand level of the individual, I guess. Maybe there's some variance there.
There is variance because we have the ability to increase and decrease speed. Copper Beauty's out there. Hey, Copper Beauty, welcome.
If it's just an enumeration, it's a challenge, because if the enumeration says hand level, you then got to work out, well, I suppose you have to anyway, but the hand, it's not just a value, it's a different range of values, whereas if you start with everything just being an offset from...
If we did this?
Do that.
The floor level, hand level, and offset. So the default would be at offset, and the default for offset Y would be 0. Which is kind of equivalent to floor level. But if we specified floor level, we would go find that floor level. If we specified hand level, we would calculate that too based on the enlarge or reduction state of that individual. Because we can enlarge and reduce. So these are...
We're going to go to a numeric value. We have to, because that's how we render in the world.
I'm sorry, you said, were you... I didn't hear that. Can you say that again, Roy?
So the final answer here is going to be an offset Y.
Yes.
But what you're saying is that we might start with an enumeration to declare which algorithm we use. So one is flat 0, the floor. One is hand level, which delegates to please go find me the hand level of the current character.
Yeah.
And then you've maybe got other, maybe just literal.
Yeah, my feeling is this defaults to 0. Really bugs me the we're all and yeah, I'm kind of lost where I was going with that, but the other it will only be important if we're backwriting this code. The important part of this effect properties right here, the important part is that I have to add properties to something that doesn't have properties.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do this inside a spreadsheet, bound by the effect name.
Sure.
Or a GUID, Mark.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we've got the GUID mechanic already showing up with creatures and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not in the effects. The problem is this. Here's why I'm like saying bound by the effect name, question mark, because inside here in this world, where am I going to put it? The effects are prefabs.
Right. Which means that if two people are casting Fireball at the same time, both of those effects are called Fireball.
Yeah.
And they may be coming different heights because different casters are different heights.
Yeah. Let me show you what I did. I'll say let me show you. It's going to take me a second to start this up. But if we open up, let's do this one, Magic Effects Pack 1. I started uniquely naming them. Actually, I should show you a better place. Right here. If we bring up the effects, you can start seeing the results of the unique naming. So R1.effect, this comes from Realistic Effects Pack 1. And R4 comes from Realistic Effects Pack 4. So I'm creating unique names for all of these. The reason why is because internally I'm also allowing to create these by the effect names.
Yes.
Does that make sense what I'm so in other words, I'm going to be like saying use evil smoke, right?
Yep.
Well, I need to have unique names. I'm going to have a namespace problem because I'm going to load in like 50 different plugins, and already with 2 from the same author, we're getting overlap. They've got, 2 different effects called Effect 26.
But then when you set properties on them, which is, I presume, your goal, do you have an issue because you can't, because what we've got in that text box or that drop down there that I would like to say is not so much an effect name but an effect type name, because when you have multiple instances of an effect, now you need to know which one of those 2 to set the property on.
I'm tracking that separately internally with the TaleSpire.instances class.
Okay.
And its instance ID. That's a separate thing that we're doing,
okay,
independent of this. These are in fact like classes, but I need to clone them and I need to have unique names for them. So I think it is I'm gonna go. The other thing is I can't stick a GUID here, right? I don't have any great place. There's nothing here that I can put it, which means I've got to store it separately. So
you're right then. Namespace logic is correct. You kind of go author.effect or something equivalent, because within a single set of effects that you get given, they're not going to have 2 effects with the same name because you can't have 2 prefabs with the same name in the same place, right?
Right, I can't here, but I can across 2 different projects. So that's why all the ones in this project start with R1, and all the ones in the version 4 project start with R4. So
is the project name discernible at runtime?
Yes, I'm sure it is.
So if we include that, so rather than alter every one of them to have unique prefixes or to have the same unique prefix within a pack, could we not have project.effect name?
We could.
Name?
Yeah, we could.
Stupid hassle.
But I considered it and didn't step towards that idea.
Okay.
I considered it and did not step towards it because the project names are big, and I'm also concerned about the code, the size of the code used to create these. or whatever.
Are you not
we're
in
gonna use. What?
Are you not in control of the project name? This
I
project
am-
right here.
I am in control, but I want the project names big so that they
Okay.
very clearly say what's inside them. But I don't mind R1 being my shorthand, like a namespace here. I don't mind that. Did we just part ways? Are you like, well, that's it. You can't do this, Mark. I've got to go.
I doubt there's anything on this earth that could stop you, Mark.
So anyway, no, I'm not saying. So anyway, that's kind of where. So what that means is we need a spreadsheet that's going to have additional information in it
Sure.
on the
yeah.
effects. It's kind of like attached properties, but we're going to store it. So we need that. And the implication is that every effect must have a unique name. And there's an example. Example property is that right there. Example properties that we need. Okay. The next thing that we need to do is we need to figure out what does our editing environment look like. And I've not really reached a solid conclusion on this yet. Is it text? And if it's text, is it JSON? That's a way to do it. Is it essentially an app? Yeah, downside, it's going to take some time.
It is. See, I'm imagining now that when you say effect, you are very similar to when we built the 2D effects. These are layered prefabs.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, you might have a fireball and that might be the entirety of the effect, but actually you could have 2 or 3 fireballs initiating just behind each other, which are all copies of the same actual fireball prefab. And what you're talking about is the first one's red, the second one's tinged green, the third one's tinged blue, and this happens to be the multicolor fireball effect,
Yeah.
which we'll have to specify somewhere, and that's what we're talking about here, the editing and the specification of that, should we say, Uber effect or composite effect.
Yeah, exactly. So notice I added the word static while you were talking about here. So we'll call this static effect properties here. But when we're talking about the editing environment, we're talking about instance properties, changing instance properties. Instance properties.
Yes.
Right here is what we're talking about. Instance, the cloned instance of the effect that we're creating. So for instance properties, like that. So I'm thinking if we go down the path of this, because the advantage is, the upside is it's fast. Upside, no dedicated editor needed. Upside here is we can incorporate tools.
Yes.
Tools like IntelliSense to give us the names of the
says that what we did in previous episodes of the show worked very well for us, which is we started with basic text. Okay, so the first option, and it allowed us to get a good feel for the kinds of alterations we were likely to want to make.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm headed. I'm there, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
You had cards, we specified layers, and then you thought, actually, we're going to want a lot of combinations of this, and we'll generate those combinations, but only now that we've figured out what makes, a sensible combination or a sensible combination of things. So, yeah, starting with text and then upgrading to an app if it becomes necessary. Otherwise, it's like building a tool where maybe a tool isn't needed.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But so yeah, let's kind of look at an example of what that looks like. And I think that's kind of where we start and what we work on today. Is we're going to basically kind of start with maybe start with a class structure to represent for today. So we're going to start with it. We're going to create a class structure to represent the effect command, essentially.
Sure.
We're going to serialize it to JSON. And we're going to take a look at that. We're going to say, is it human readable? Human readable and extensible? And then if our answer is yes, it feels readable enough and extensible enough, then we're just going to run with that. And if the answer is no, then we're going to say, okay, maybe we need an editor. All right, so class structure to represent the effect command. Let's just jump in the code and start doing this. From an organizational standpoint, it's going to be down in the core, and I want to start off immediately just by creating a new folder for it, I think. And that folder is going to be called effect commands, effect command structure, effect. It's almost like a DTO.
It is almost, yeah. I'm trying to imagine, because I'm lots of different effects in my head to see what the variation on their needs is. So I'm thinking about, the first one is just a point effect, an effect that happens in a place. It doesn't move, it doesn't do anything. It just does its basic thing.
Yeah.
The next one you've demonstrated already is the fireball going from point A to point B. And then I get kind of lost because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I guess each of them is an array of things that you want to do simultaneously or offset in time from one another.
Sure.
But yeah.
Sure. Let's start writing them now. I think I can help you get found. So I'm going to just in here just create a real quick class. I'm going to call this effect DTO. Maybe we'll start with this as a base class, move it to its own file, grab it from right there and drag it up into here so it's in the right spot. Okay, now that I got my effect DTO, let's start talking about things we want to change. Well, one of the things we want to be able to change is a property. So I'm going to call a property DTO, maybe an effect property DTO, I'm not sure. It's going to have a property type string called the name of the property we want to change. And it's going to have a property type string called the data, or the value maybe.
Value seems better.
That's going to be JSON. So in other words, we're going to have JSON inside of JSON, I think.
Okay.
I think. Or we make value an object. And then we wait. I'm envisioning an ancestry class here, that this is a base class, and with the virtual method get value.
Okay.
Let's change this back to a string. So it's value, and we'll call this value stir. Okay. We're going to create a method that returns, let's create a method that's going to return a t. And it's going to be that, like that. And we're going to call this get value. Pass in that piece right there. No constraints on this at all. We're going to make this abstract. Is that going to work? What's wrong here? So if you constrain it, just that right there. Okay, and then we need one more string, which is the value type. That's going to be the type of the value. And we need some way to register these. So I'm going to basically register a float property DTO. And I will say that the type I work on is a value type that's float. Okay? And so then I will, when I want to change something, I think we're going to need a constructor here that takes, just all of those like that. So when I construct a new instance of this, I might say, here's the name, give it some sort of value as a string, and the type. The type will be used to look up and get the correct property DTO descendant. Then on that, we'll call get value, passing in that type, and then we're able to see what the value is. I think. I don't know. I don't quite see the whole thing yet.
No. Okay.
At any rate, we're going to move this to File. Go back over to our Effect DTO. Our Effect DTO is going to have a whole bunch of these. So we'll have a list of those property DTOs. We call those properties. Like that. Do I want to initialize it? I think I do. So that will be valid and initialized. Now, the other piece about this, this will be able to have a list of itself as well.
Okay.
Like that.
Styled effects, yeah. Okay.
And let's see. We'll leave that one null. And actually, I'm going to leave this null as well. For now. There's a time span. It's going to be start, offset, delay. And maybe not a time span, maybe this is in seconds. I'll make it a float. Just a little simpler.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to set that equal to 0 by default. Well, that's already 0 by default, so we don't have to worry about that actually. Okay, there's our effect DTO. Okay, we need an effect name. Okay, so this is our lookup for the effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so for what we've got so far, how would we see ourselves using this in the case of the fireball? Okay, we're gonna have some data. So the name of the effect is, I don't know, single fireball, something like that.
Yeah, I need one more property here. I'm sorry, Roy. I need
That's
one
all right.
more property. Sometimes we might need to modify. In fact, many times we'll have to modify something on a child component. So we'll bring in an effect, and then we're going to need to get a component like a script or something like that, find it, then get its property, then take the value string, turn it to an actual value, and save it. That's what we're going to have to do. What?
That is interesting. I like that. It gives a lot more extensibility to the whole system.
Yeah. So we're going to need that. So I think now I feel like what you're getting to is your question you're trying to ask is what's the simplest way we can test this? Is that right?
Yeah.
What's our use case?
Yeah, because it makes sense to sort of prove the usage of these things for an example.
Yeah, we do need a descendant of our property DTO. So we need at least one float DTO to prove that this whole idea was made sense. What's declare do? What is that? All right. That's our entrance there. Okay. All right. So I want to create a new class that's a descendant of this. We're going to call this our float DTO. So we're going to talk about making one change, or do we want to make it a color change? Float is the simplest.
Yeah, can represent speed or
yeah,
distance.
Let's do that. So we're going to say float DTO, implement abstract class. There's the get value right there.
Yeah.
And we're going to say, well, for now, I'm not doing JSON. The value string for floats will be stored just as the toString of the number. So I'm going to say if tf dot try parse value stir out tf result, and we're going to say return result. Now, are we going to have trouble here with the t? Because it's not going to be able to cast it to a type t.
Doesn't need to, does it? Oh, sorry, I see what you mean. Float doesn't necessarily. Well, yeah. Ooh, that's interesting.
We've had this problem before, and yeah, the problem is, can we do this? I think we can't even do this. If result is t.
Can't you put the t in the property DTO instead and have float DTO descend from property DTO of float?
Yes, it's brilliant idea, Rory. That is the most brilliant thing you've ever said in your life, and I can't believe I'm nowhere near as brilliant as you. So now what happens to this T here? What's going on here? Okay, yeah, I don't need it here. There. Just need that. Now what's my problem? Oh wait, hold on. I'm in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. You must have been like, what are you doing, Mark? Oops. Is it there?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So that is good. And then this is going to be this of the F. That's what this whole thing has done.
Means T lower down is inherently a float. I'm not quite sure how the syntax works there, but that may work.
Let's see. I think it'll work. There's no suitable method found to override. Really? What's this? Just that it does not implement.
I mean, you can say get value returns T.
Wait.
Just, T is now.
I have this problem here. Let me see if I can. That was still down there.
Oh, okay.
Not all code paths return a value. So now we're good.
Okay.
And then down here we're going to say R0. All right. Thanks, Rory, for helping me out. That's
no
like
problem.
I wouldn't have got that today on the sleep that I've had. All right. So now we've got this. That float DTO out there. Type file. Hold on. That dialog coming up means Dropbox locked the file for a second. Let me pause it till tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, Dropbox doesn't like 2 quick saves in a row.
Yeah, covered that in a few places.
Yeah.
I was actually really happy when you told me that that's why that was happening, because it was just bugging me.
Yeah, well, it was one of those things that was bugging me for a long time too, until I discovered the pattern, and I was like, it's not happening when I turn off Dropbox. Let's turn on Dropbox and try quick saves in a row and see what we get. Okay, we're getting closer. I'm wondering if we need to create a registration piece, or if that's a little bit too much to build right now. I mean, what's happening here? They got us.
That's annoying. Yeah.
Do I do that and just check to see? Are you a list of something? No, I can't do that.
You could have a property DTO that's the base class for property DTO of T, and have a list of that.
I think that'll work. Yeah. And so this, but we've got to, the only problem is we have this right here.
Yeah, when you get a property, well, any object out of that list, you have to know what to cast it to in order to then be the call.
Yeah, you know what though? I just realized.
Yeah.
We don't actually need it to be type safe here. We could return an object here. We could get rid of this distinction designation here. It's a way to solve it. Another way to solve it is we go with your ideas still, where we say, base property, DTO. this, make it abstract. We create an abstract method that's going to be get value. It's going to return an object.
Okay.
Like that. And then down here,
so that works. We've got the method, but we don't know the data type coming back out of it, or at least it comes out as an object or wrapped in an object. If you like.
Yeah, it's basically, so the question is, what's the value here ultimately is, get value, get type save value or something like that, whatever this is. Yeah, ultimately I'm concluding we don't need this because we would just come down here, call that and return it, right? Oh, that's the value of this piece.
External be using this facility.
Huh? What'd you say?
External object will be ultimately calling get value.
Yeah.
Because it will get the value, but it'll need to put it into something or know from that, because we've got we did have value type, which can indicate what to do.
Yeah. I'm going to get rid of this. This is where I'm headed right now. Get value. Yeah, it's a little less safe. I'm a little more nervous about it, but it is, I think, way more extensible. So I'm not going to have an ancestor class. That's just going to go to there. We don't need the T anymore inside of here. It was brilliant for a moment, but because we don't have control of this, so this is going to be an object like that. And why don't I have value stir? What's wrong up here? Oh, just one last piece. This should be okay now. There it is. What's my problem here, though? Change access modifiers. Okay, yeah, we want to make this public. Go ahead. What do you want to say, Roy?
I'm thinking, so now everything is a string, right? Internally. We haven't actually converted it back from that. So it doesn't need to be even returning an object. It can return a string.
No, I need it to return a float because I'm going to actually use reflection to set the property on the item that we've instantiated.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so we do need it to be its native form of its value. Okay, so there's the property DTO. I'm going to rename this to base property DTO. Like that, just so it's very clear we're descending from this. Okay, float DTO. Good. That descends from there. All right, now we need a sample. Okay, so our test case is going to come from somewhere in this space here. And I'm thinking it's, well, here's the attack. Here's where we create the fireball.
Okay, so this is our concrete version of it right now, and we'd like to be able to do this using our mechanic that we've just built instead. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I want to do. The cool examples I can think of are going to involve more code. I'm trying to think of a simple example with the
Well, so the simple example I can think of is just, I want a torch. So he holds his hand out and the fireball is there, but it's just there. It's not going anywhere. It's not doing anything. It's just going to turn on, turn off. To be fair, there's not really a lot of properties involved in that. Perhaps there's a duration.
Yeah,
to cast seconds it goes off.
Get sample effect. So I'm going to do this. Let's declare get sample effect. That's going to return an effect DTO. All right. So we're going to call this. So now effect name doesn't apply. We don't need it because we're already manually binding it up there. So what we really need is actually I know you probably don't like this, Rory, but I'm really need kind of a registration kind of piece here. So here's what I want to do. I want a let's get simple effect. Let's call this register effects. Register effects, and here we're just going to create a new effect DTO. I want a new list of those right here. Those are going to be, I'll call it registered effects.
Yep.
Like that. And we're going to create a new effect. We're going to add it. And so we're going to say result dot effect name. This is going to be effect that modifies the, what is it? The fireball, I think.
Okay.
What is it called? Effect name, medium fire. Well, it's going to modify medium fire and only medium fire. Okay, that's what we'll say. So it modifies that. And we're going to say results dot add property. We're going to call new float property, float DTO. I should call it float property, not float DTO. If we rename from here, will it also rename the file? I hope it does. Property DTO. Yep.
Wow.
It did. All right.
I did not think that would work.
So we're going to go, yeah, I wasn't sure. And inside the float property DTO, we're going to say value stir is equal to 2.
Okay.
Component name is equal to transform. And we're going to say name, this is the property name. Whoops, sorry. Name.
Right. So looking for a child component called transform, and we're going to set the location or local scale on that transform equal to 2.
Yeah, the local scale dot y to 2 is what I'm going to do.
Okay.
That's what I think I'm going to do. The type, do I even need the type anymore? The type is one of the properties. I don't think I need the type anymore, the value type. Like I can put in here it's equal to float, but
I think logically it's not necessary, because when time comes to do the change, we'll detect the type of the property and cast the value string in some sensible way to that.
you think it's
just
not
more
needed?
More data we could get wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let's go with it. All right, so now we've got a method called add property inside of here, and what we're going to do here is check to see if properties is null, and if it is, create an instance of it. Like that. And then we're going to say properties. Really, why would it suggest that properties? It's so close. Dot add float property DTO. We're going to rename this to just a property DTO, and we're going to rename this, change this type to base property DTO. All right, that's good. So we've added the property, medium fire, register effects dot add result. Like that.
Yeah.
We don't need this to return anything anymore. And we just need to call this on startup. Then we're going to come down in here and apply effects and work on that, fix that. This looks like my startup right here. I'll register effects there.
Mark, you just stopped returning a value from register effects, but you didn't change the bool to avoid.
Yeah, I meant to hit TV, which is right next to TB.
There we go.
Thank you. Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, what? All right. Next, apply effects. So here's where we want to go through reach here, effect DTO. If effect DTO dot name, effect name is equal to There's a problem.
Ooh.
The problem is that when I clone it, it gives it the same name followed by, you know, so if I have an effect called, you know, r1.icewall or something like that,
Yeah.
and I clone it, Unity calls it something like this.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I want to do a starts with or what, if I want to just trim this off the end. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not recalling. I wonder if we can just demonstrate it here in Unity now. What happens if I say duplicate here? That's not good. That's not what it does. It doesn't do that. Pretty sure it puts the word clone in there. Do I have... Wait, I've got the Bepinet debug log in here. There we go. Here we can see it right here. Perfect. That's what it calls it. So it just adds the word clone at the end. So we're going to remove that word clone and see if we get a match.
Yeah.
All right, so...
That it retain that bracketed clone at the end. So what I'm saying is, are we going to remove it from the object that it was added to, or are we going to make our comparison allow for the fact it might be on the end?
Oh, you're asking what's this? What I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to the beginning of the... I'm going to create something here called stir to match. Like this. I'm going to say that's equal to target.name plus clone. Or, you know, actually now that I think about it, maybe we're just going to strip off everything we're going to take only everything before this. So yeah, we'll say if the effect name is equal to target name dot everything. Oh yeah, I can just do this up at the top here. Yeah. Effect name to match. We say that's equal to target dot name, and we're going to say, hey, if if effect name to match dot contains an open paren. Yeah, well, I think the implication is no open parens in the names of things. Effect name to match is equal to effect name to match dot everything before. Oh, I don't have that. I'm not using that from here. All right, so we'll just do substr starting at 0, comma effect name to match. Oh, the code's so long here. Index of.
Written this code so many times.
Yeah, that everything before is really helpful.
It's great.
But it's in a
self-explanatory and everything.
Yeah, it's just that the problem is it's in another DLL that I don't want to reference from here.
Right.
And I think that gets me everything up to that point. Now, because we can't step through this code, we haven't figured out how to do this yet. We're going to have to send some log messages out. Here. Send that out.
Yep.
In case things don't go as expected. Okay. Let's do it there. Like that. Then we'll check to see, hey, if it's equal to this, then finally we get to apply effect singular though. I want it singular and I want it to be I need to pass in target and effect UTO. Like that. And I think I can exit once I've found the match. We're going to allow multiples that are going to work on the same piece.
It's an interesting one. Your effect might have 3 fireballs on it.
Yeah, and I think we just end up calling apply effects 3 different times for those 3 different, because this target is actually an effect, is what this is. This piece coming in, it's a prefab. It's a prefab effect. And there's generally a target. Is there another target that it's got? I'm not sure. I think we're going to learn more from this. Unfortunately, I'm not visualizing the whole piece. At this point, though, now we've got this effect DTO. Now we want to check to see if it's got any properties. Or maybe no, we're just going to say apply to and pass in target. Like that. And I'll rename this effect. Yeah, maybe I just call it from down here. Just inline that method. Okay. Yeah, so the registered effects piece here, these are actually, oh, I think I lost power.
Okay.
Oh, I lost
Still
power.
here for me.
Yeah, there was a brief spike, but the upload speed is good, but I've definitely lost power. I probably got about, yeah, my experience, if it doesn't come on in like a second, it won't come on for a while. Let me get a raid going, kids. Sorry about this.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my, you can probably hear the beeping there in the background. All right, we'll send you over to, oh bother, I think, kids, is what we're going to do. Start that raid. It's got just a few seconds for power to kick back in. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's going to be the end of the show today, Rory.
Oh, well, never mind.